So we've run a service business for the past 8 years. We've worked with hundreds of clients, hired over 100 team members and made many millions in that period. And this right here is the philosophy in which we run our business to ensure we're extracting maximum benefit from the company, both financial, but also freedom-based, and also that the team is functioning to serve its clients and ensure everything is running smoothly. And this applies to you regardless of what service business you own and what you sell and who you sell it to and where you're based in the world, and frankly, any business for that matter. And we're going to be diving deep into this because most people in business talk about how the business serves the client, okay? How the client's results are the most important thing. And that's essential, that's a given. But what most people don't talk about or understand is the synergy between these three things. And it took us a very, very long time to figure this out and a lot of mistakes over the line. Because if you don't have these three things in synergy to maximize on profit, on impact and fulfillment, then it doesn't matter how great your product is, the business will fail. And we've been close to that a couple of times. It's been squeaky. So this is Joe. Joe is my co-founder of the Affluent Agency, the business that we started together 8 years ago. We're a high-performance creative agency. We work with online brands and help them scale up through creative and digital advertising, paid ads, etc. So let's jump into this. So first of all, the first thing we have to understand is in business, the business serves you, okay? The business has to serve you as the founder of the company. You serve its people, and its people serve the business. What does that mean? Let's dive into it. So, first of all, its business serves you. Well, we need to ensure that, and we're going to just roll with this. So the first thing is money. We have to be earning the money that we want to earn from the company, okay? We have to be extracting value from the business. I've gone through many a period where I haven't paid myself and end up resenting the business in general, okay? And actually, just before we jump into that, I think it's important to highlight, by the business serves you, we mean the business has to give you all the things you want to get out of the business. You have to extract the value for you to have the motivation to serve its people, okay? To be a great leader, to give them what they need, to pay them well. And if you don't serve the people, then the people aren't going to serve the business, okay? For the people to work hard, for them to follow process, for them to follow systems, for them to take ownership. Okay, and if any of these parts break, and many people find themselves with this being the biggest problem, the business serving them, they don't feel like they're extracting the value, they don't feel like they're getting paid enough, they don't feel like they have freedom. You might feel like you're in a prison right now that you've built for yourself. I've been there myself, I know how that feels. We're going to teach you how to get out of that. So money has to be the first thing. You have to pay yourself well in the company, but within reason, right? You have to be conservative. I've always been, and what my general philosophy around this is you want to be amongst the highest earners in the business, but look at your senior I don't know if you do this yourself, but look within your senior leadership team, look at where you're paying them, and you want to be situated around about that limit, not like 10K, 15K a month when you're trying to grow a company.
Agreed, absolutely.
The second thing is freedom, okay? Freedom is very important. It's the thing that all of us set out to achieve when we first start a company. It's the main conversation that we had when we first began. The freedom to be able to work when we want and work on what we want. And that's the key. It's working on what we want. As an entrepreneur, we often are going to get ourselves and find ourselves in a position where we're working more than a 9-to-5 job like we were before. Okay, but we want to have the freedom to work on the things we actually enjoy inside the business. It's a very creative process running a company. And if we're forced into a position where we're working on something that fundamentally doesn't align with who we are, which is why when we founded, you took the responsibility of service delivery, which is something you've been passionate about, and I took the responsibility of business development and sales. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The third thing is fulfillment, okay? So we must be fulfilled by the business. What does that mean? We have to be getting deep satisfaction from the work we are doing. Okay, so we have to find pleasure and enjoyment in working with the clients we're working with, in serving the team and building this culture within the business, in watching people grow and be empowered within the company. And so if we're not feeling fulfilled in ourselves, if we're not actually enjoying the process, I suppose you could call this, the business isn't going to serve you properly. And so you have to be able to find enjoyment inside the business. These are all things that we can dive much, much deeper into, and we'll talk about how we can do that later on in the video. But we have to be fulfilled. We have to feel satisfied. You got anything to add on that at all?
No, I think that's just a really, really good point. And I think that what we're identifying here is bottlenecks. Like if we don't have every single one of these things in check, then it's going to be really difficult to grow our company with passion. And that's really what this first portion is all about.
I remember in the early stages of the company, like it's struggling to find fulfillment in client delivery because it was a really difficult process being able to service clients and maintain their high standards and being able to keep up with the standards that they have. And so I remember myself personally struggling with that process.
Yeah. And I was exactly the same on sales, which is obviously why we joined forces right at the beginning. And I think we found our respective fulfillment in our specific roles quite early into it. And that changes over time as well. Your fulfillment will change, but it's trying to identify what is the thing that is bringing you happiness and fulfillment, and then leaning into that, because that's typically where your strengths lie as well.
And hiring people that can serve the parts of you that you don't enjoy, or the parts of the business that you don't enjoy. Many people hate sales. That's no hidden secret. The unfortunate thing about sales, it's one of the last things you end up hiring for. You as the founder are always going to be the best person at selling inside the business. So you're still
I'm still doing sales. Yeah, absolutely. There's the thing with sales is there's nobody really else in the company that's going to be able to sell your service as well as you do. And so in terms of your impact in the sales position, it gets better. But I've found increasing levels of fulfillment in sales because I just love the idea of being able to provide the value that we've got as a company to the new clients that we want to service. So that's what I mean. Your fulfillment changes over time. It didn't start with sales, but now I just love it. I just absolutely love it because I know that these people, when they come on board, they're going to be blown away by the stuff that we've got.
Yeah, 100%, which is why, and you'll notice throughout this, all of this feeds into itself. So freedom can't exist without fulfillment, and fulfillment can't exist without money, and all of the things we're going to go into in all of these segments. Yeah, Joe is one of the best leaders that I've met, and going into your service people in a moment, that will open your eyes to how these things work together. One thing I didn't highlight on the freedom side, and many of you watching this right now, drop a comment down below and let me know if you feel like this. You set out to start a business because you wanted freedom in the first place, and you probably don't have that right now. I didn't have, and you didn't have freedom for a very, very long time in the business. We now stand here in a beautiful house in Cape Town. I wish I could show you, and we've got a lake in front of us, and we've just been sitting, having a coffee, just working on some gorgeous philosophy this morning, and just a lovely piece of freedom inside the business, and the company's running without us. It took us a long time to get to that point in the company. And so if you desire freedom in a business, if that is something that is important to you, you have to be prepared to sacrifice it in the short term to be able to gain it in the long term. So arguably the first 2, maybe even 3 years in the business, you're going to be grafting a lot harder, and you're going to be not seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to be, maybe even working weekends as well. And then you start to claim that time back and you start to gain more freedom. So this is something that's like long term, okay? The rest of these we can gain pretty early on, but freedom comes over time inside of the business. The fourth is vision. So we have to have, or the business must align with our vision as a founder, okay? So think about what you want to achieve in life and think about it hard. And this is going to change over time. My vision when I first started the business was I wanted to earn so much money that I didn't even know what money was anymore. That was what my vision was. And then I wanted to stop working and retire. And then I got to that point where I had lots of money. And then I was like, no, this is not fulfilling. And I need to have changed my vision. I need to change my long-term goal. And so that vision has transpired over time, but the business still aligns with that. And you, at different points in the career, you will realign your vision with the business itself. But if the business isn't working you towards that greater goal that you have in life, and if you think about the business as just a vehicle right now, it's like, it's not your entire life. You're going to have many businesses in your lifetime as an entrepreneur. Many of us, let's say, get into the service-based business model because it's a great way, it's a great entry-level business model, right? It certainly has been that for us and has opened us up to many other opportunities. But it has to align with what your long-term life goals are in the company. Cool.
100%.
So,
agree more.
This is your business serves you. Anything else to add on this?
No, I don't think so, man. This is your domain. You're so good at all this stuff.
Cool. Well, over to you then on you serve its people. Let me
sure.
pass you the pen.
Absolutely. Okay.
Collab with the blue pen if I want to.
Yeah, nice. I like it. The highlights. So in respect of this holy trinity, the business, of course, has to serve you. What is the thing, what is the engine that powers the business to be successful? Typically, it's the people, right? In any service-based business, specifically in agencies, it's the people that are putting in the hours, that are doing the work, whilst you're leading them to the right destination. And if you can do this effectively, it means that you can multiply your time. It means that you can multiply your impact. It means that you can multiply how you create better and better products, which serves your customers and gets better results for your customers overall. And so this is an extremely important aspect of essentially how to grow an agency or any service-based business to a really, really high level. So the first thing on this list is obviously it's leadership, right? So the thing about leadership is they need to know where it is that they're actually going. And so leadership is all about how do you create a mission and a vision for the company that your people understand? And then how do you as a founder or as a leader direct them towards that mission and that vision? And typically that's involved by just constantly reminding them why it is we're doing what it is that we're doing. So like, what is the mission that we're trying to achieve? What does the future look like tomorrow? And if you can create that vision and that certainty with a better tomorrow and more future, then that is like the first step to serving its people, because they at least know which direction that they need to be facing. So,
I think a really important thing to highlight in that as well is there are so many founders that set this vision, that set this, so everybody in the team is like, right, this is exactly where we're heading. This is what we're working towards. And then they don't lead from the front. It's like sending all of your troops into war and saying, it's all right, guys, I'm just going to sit in the pub and I'm going to drink the beer whilst you go and slaughter yourself. Because the growth or the path to success for you and your team, because the team have to be going to success themselves. They have to be going to a greater place where they're going to be earning more money, increasing their skills, getting good career development. That path is going to be brutal. It's going to be hard, whatever way you look at it. And if you're then seen to be gallivanting, and this has happened so much in the online space, if you're seen to be gallivanting around the world, if you're not working all the time, you have to be the hardest working person in the business. You know, and that's what lots of leaders don't want to hear. You have to be the hardest working person in the business, and you have to be seen to be the hardest working person in the business as well. Absolutely. And so it's all well and good setting goals and setting vision and aligning the team with that. But if you're not leading from the front, it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this at a mastermind we went to the other day, didn't we? Like, your team will feel how you are and how you respond and how you act as a leader. And so if you truly are leading from the front and you truly are driving towards the mission that you set as a company, they're going to feel it and they're going to want to come along with that journey as well. So it's a really important aspect. Cool. The second point is like respect as well. Like, you need to respect the people inside the company, and respect is all about, like recognition, like making sure that your people know that they're doing a really good job and that they're helping you achieve what it is that you set out. And so like respect, reward, recognition, something that makes them feel like they have purpose and are useful to the whole company will really, really help kind of their motivation and their overall drive.
How they're paid. So
Absolutely.
just how much money you're actually paying the team members. And obviously that's a fine art. Like in the early stages, you're not going to be able to pay them a huge amount. But I think what most founders don't understand is, and something that we've had to learn over the years, is you can get really great talent. We always hear about A players, those A players that join the business, which is actually, it's all a mindset thing rather than like a physical, like skill set thing. It does help, but you can get A players that don't have the skills yet, and you can help them grow over time. They don't need to be paid crazy amounts of money. Most people think that A players have to be crazy amounts. I've got A players in the business that started off with me on $1,000 per month, and they've been nurtured over time. But respect without the leadership piece. So those people who are A players, if they haven't got the leadership thing, they're not going to stay. But someone will quite happily take 1K in the early stages of their career or 1.5K in the early stages of their career on the promise that they're going to be earning more later because they're aligned with the vision and they trust you as a leader to get them to that place. And I think that's something that you've done really well over time as well. You've implemented a lot of initiatives in the business, like Matter, for example. Matter is a nice hack.
Matter's a lovely one. If any of you guys are on Slack, there's a really nice like rewards-based system that you can reward your team members based on the core values of your business. And so like if you're constantly reinforcing and rewarding people based on the core values of the business, then people are just going to align themselves to what it is that that you want to see from them and that you want to achieve overall. And so like that alignment piece is so important, which we'll get into in a minute, won't we? Because that's the next piece. So yeah, amazing. And then the third piece on this one is growth. Like, if you break down human beings fundamentally, the one thing that drives people more than anything is moving forwards and like growth, and it's understanding what their destination is. And so like if you can take time with your team to really map out a path of what will be there in the future for them inside your company. I say this all the time, like your mission as a founder is to have a dream that's big enough that everybody else's dreams can fit with inside it. And like if you're constantly talking to your team about how do you meet their goals and how do you meet their vision and their growth inside the company as a whole, then you'll have alignment, and then you will constantly be serving its people, which will just keep empowering them over and over again.
And that's a fine art, because I had a conversation with someone yesterday in our elite program for agencies above 10K a month. And this agency is about 30K. They've got the first few team members. They're in a problem where they're 3 months into employing a team member, and the team member wants a pay rise because they promised them a pay rise before they hired them. So growth isn't about these like regimented, okay, you're going to earn this much, then this much, then this much. It's about them having opportunity to increase their ability based on the contribution they bring to the business. Absolutely. And so you never want to be in a position where you're promising growth just because of time. Time is not a product of growth, okay? Growth is a product of growth, okay? Have you showed the initiative that you want to learn more? Have you gone the extra mile? We have an A Player of the Month award, and a team member, Jason, from our team. He's a closer in the company, okay? He's not a manager in the business, he's a closer. And he sends messages all the time. He's coming, I just thought this new onboarding process. I just rewrote the cold calling script. I was just on my dog walk and I think about this new objection handle. And he's just always going the extra mile, which is why he's been recognized as someone in the business, which puts him on the front line to become a manager. Never hire managers, as a side note. Never hire, and we can talk about this stuff for hours upon hours and hours, and if you want us to, if there's any of these things that are pricking your ears up, let us know, because we can talk about this in the future. We could write a whole book on this thing. Never, ever, ever give someone management title because of time, okay? Time doesn't award progression, okay? Consistency and a growth mindset and a commitment to the business. You know, I would give someone a management title 6 months into the business over someone who's been in the business 6 years if they've put more effort into the company and they've shown more initiative.
Absolutely. They'd be more committed, essentially.
But so many people think they owe people something because of time. Yeah. You know, time is an indicator, but you can be lazy doing the same thing for 60 years of your life, working in one job, never progressing. Then have you increased value? No, you've just used time. Okay, time can be used for growth, or time can be used just to maintain and sustain, and and I suppose stagnant. And you don't want that.
Good point, man. Cool. Well, I mean, we're getting to the end of You Serving Its People, but we've covered some amazing points already. Obviously, leadership, lead from the front, respect your team, help them grow, help them figure out a vision and a path for their own future. And then the last thing is culture. Like, people need to enjoy where they work. Like, if people don't enjoy where they work, even if you've got these 3 things locked in, they're just going to be like, they're going to feel unfulfilled. And this ties into the fulfillment thing as well. Like, if you can harbor and foster a really positive culture where people are genuinely having a good time working with their team members, then that can be really impactful. A big part of culture for us is making sure that we maintain a really high standard of team member as well. Like, if you have one B player surrounded by a bunch of A players, you'd be surprised at how quickly that brings the team down. And so honestly, with this aspect, you kind of have to be cutthroat with culture. Like, if there's somebody that doesn't fit within your culture and doesn't have the growth mindset that everybody else in the team does, then that can be really damaging, and you need to take action on that fast. Now, obviously, when it comes to things like culture as well, like really establishing what is your culture. Do you have a party culture? Do you have a work hard culture? What is that? And how does that culture overall impact and help the business grow? And if there are aspects of your culture that are bringing the business down, then that's something that you can manipulate and change over time. So I think that's a really important point there as well.
And you can't copy other people's culture, right? No. So many people are like, I want to replicate the culture of another company. Yeah. You can do that if that culture directly aligns with your core values. What you'll realize in building culture is your team become a representation of your own values and who you are as a person. You end up attracting people that are similar to you. And I actually think me and you are pretty different as far as culture is concerned, in a really complementary way. And it's something I've always admired about you, because the team are just so bought into the culture inside of the agency, which is a direct reflection of who you are as a person in your personal life as well. Just quickly before we move on to this, have you got any tactical things that people can implement, any like certain meetings or initiatives and so on that you do just to increase or get the ball rolling in a culture?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like meetups, we do a yearly trip where we take everyone abroad and just like hire an amazing villa and like really pin lots of success and happiness to that. We have like specific, sessions where we'll all get in the office or in the studio and have like a big whiteboarding session where we figure out where we want to go as a company. I think that trying to get buy-in from your team as well about the direction of your company really helps with culture, because it really helps them feel like they're bought into the overall vision, rather than you just like setting it and forgetting it basically, but actually asking for their help so they feel more valued. And also we do things like charity runs, man. Like personal mastery is the #1 core value in our company. And that involves like amazing brain health, like amazing mental health, amazing physical health. And so like we set challenges all the time, like every mile you run, we'll donate like $10 or £10 to charity or something like that. And that just overall fosters a culture of just kind of like this growth mindset and wanting to do better and be better in yourself. And I think that helps. And everybody's on that same thing. And usually when we're pushing that harder, we can see the people that don't fit with that culture. And it really highlights to us who are the people that we probably shouldn't be in our company due to the fact that this is the thing that we're pushing. So quite interesting.
What's those Friday meetings that you host? I always like listening to those at the end of on the Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. So every single Friday we do like a weekly roundup, and basically every single person in the company has to share a win from the week. Now, typically someone will share like a personal win, so something that's separate to business, and also a business-based win as well. So they're always having to think about, okay, what is it that I'm doing in my personal life to improve? And also what have I contributed to the business overall in order to help it keep getting better? So yeah, that is an amazing call. And the call that I enjoy more than anything is our Friday roundup call, where a whole team come on. It's just positive energy. We just share wins from the week, and then we roll that into the next week, and it's just massively impactful. So
nice.
yeah,
nice,
cool.
man. Right, let me nab that pen off you. Let's
Absolutely.
collaborate on this one. Let's bosh this one out. So first of all, just recapping. So the business is serving us. We're pumped up, okay? We're happy. We're fulfilled. We've got money. We've got freedom. We've got fulfillment. We've got this vision. We're like, right, this is awesome. What do I need to do to make the machine work? We're now serving it to people, okay? So we're being a great leader. We're respecting them. We're helping them grow. We're creating this great culture. Now the people are pumped up, okay? So now the people are pumped to do the right thing. So the people now have to serve the business, okay? So how do the people serve the business? The first step is alignment, okay? So the people must be aligned with the values of the business. This is their role, okay? And so many people will set values inside of the company, 3 core values. Okay, one of ours is extreme ownership, which is something we're coming on to in a moment. I also have attention to detail, okay? The team have to align with those core values of the business, because these are the things that you have highlighted that are the most important parts of the company itself. But it's not just the values as far as individual character traits, but it's also how you look at client delivery, okay? Your expectations on how far you go the extra mile. One of our things is under-promise and over-deliver. We always endeavor to under-promise to our clients and over-deliver, go the extra mile, right? And so if the team aren't demonstrating that, we will remind them and we'll realign them with that. Hey, hang on, we've made a big over-promise here. We've done exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do. And as a founder, it's our job to realign people when they need to be checked in, okay? But if the people feel from you as the founder that you are serving them, they will generally be aligned to the business. And this is also a hiring thing. In the hiring process, you've got to make sure you're looking for the right people as far as values are concerned. And so asking questions relating to the values that you have as a business is just an important thing to do. Cool. Nice. Anything on that?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, it's just an important aspect. If you get alignment through your core values, they're all working together. It's going to be a lot more beneficial for sure.
Ownership. So one of our core values is extreme ownership inside of the business, especially as a small business. And you're a small business if you're $3 million a month in revenue, okay? That might feel like a lot of money. You're a small business, okay? And so if you're let's say 50 team members, you're a small business. Anything below 50 team members. Extreme ownership is so important. There is no room in a service-based business for someone that coasts inside the company. You don't want anyone there who is just like a cog in the machine. They have to have direct understanding of what they are responsible for in the business, and what, as we call them in the company, critical accountability points. So they know what their critical accountability points are in the company. So what are the main pillar tasks that they work on a daily basis that move the needle in the business, and they demonstrate that they take ownership over those tasks. So ideally, maybe there's if it's trackable, you could track some kind of KPI that gives you a measure on whether or not you're improving or decreasing, or maybe it's just something that feels right from the gut based on other impact across the business. But extreme ownership is very important. No one's passing the blame to other departments. No one's uncertain of what they're actually doing and what their role is inside the company. And this is initially something that you as a leader will have to instill in your original founding team, but then it becomes the responsibility of your head of departments. So the head of departments have to stay on top of making sure that people understand what they're responsible for in the company, and how that relates to the customers.
Every time you hire somebody, you're adding significantly more operational stress to the business. And if people don't have this feeling of extreme ownership, then what it does is it puts actually more pressure on the managers that are above these people, because it's actually creating more work and more problems in some cases. So like the thing with extreme ownership is when somebody knows what task it is that they need to achieve, they don't necessarily need to know every single step to be able to do that. They need to be able to take the extreme ownership and be able to work that out for themselves, because then they're truly independent and then they're actually taking stress away from the rest of the business rather than adding more stress onto it. So I think it's a really important point.
Okay, the third is commitment. There's an important order of these. So commitment. So not only are you aligned with a vision, not only do you have an understanding of what you are responsible for in the business, are you committed to achieving the business's mission? Is what you're doing aligning with where you are going as a business, okay? And that might be as simple as we want to be the market leader in a certain domain. We are an advertising agency in the food and beverage industry. We want to lead that market, okay? So are they committed to reach that goal as well, okay? Do they understand where they fit into that? And they show up every single day putting in the work. Not is it 3 days of the week that they're committed and then a couple of days they're haphazard. Are they showing up and being dedicated to the business, okay? And actually, one thing on this, a little story, one thing that I've always wanted to do over the years is I've always been obsessive with systems, like I'm a serious systems guy, and in some ways that probably kind of clashed between us and the business over time as well, because I like to make sure there's like strict processes and so on, which is why it's lovely now that I don't even bother, and it's just your domain to figure out everything in that regard, and I've stepped out as per se. But I have always wanted to over-systemize task management and over-systemize the tracking of projects and so on. And one thing that I've grown to realize over the years is that you can't create one regimented task management system that tracks what everyone is doing across the business. And actually, this is a mistake that I've come into time and time again. I've used Trello, I've used Notion, I've used Monday.com, I've tried Asana, and I'm like, team, right, this is what we're doing. You're going to jump on this thing so we can monitor everything that's going on and we can help you. And you try and position it as a way that you're going to help them do what they're doing. But actually, all you're trying to do is micromanage and see that they've got commitment and they're actually putting the work in on a daily basis. One thing I've grown to realize is people are far more committed and they're far more dedicated to doing the work and they're far more productive if you just allow them to have their own productivity management system. And I'm a terrible example. I'm a great example of that, I suppose. I create this whole Notion system. We spent months and months developing this with Nathan, our operations manager, and I'm the one still writing everything down on lists. It just sits there on a list in front of me. So I'm like, team, we've got this great system. You need to use this. And I'm sat there writing a list, and that's what I'm using as my project management system, okay? And I'm way more productive doing that. And you have to trust in the team's process for that. So sometimes it means like entire departments are ran using a system that you don't even operate yourself, okay? But if you allow them to have control over that, you're going to get more commitment from them and just more output in general.
Yeah, definitely, man. 100%. I totally agree. Love that.
Talking of systems, that is our fourth point is systems, okay?
Well, there's no better person to talk on it.
Systems. So in a business, a business is really just an accumulation of systems, okay? You have to run, my philosophy is you have to run a company like it's McDonald's, okay? Run your business like it's McDonald's. What do I mean by that? Imagine you're a franchise, okay? Imagine you, and this is a great way, you can do this with service businesses and many companies. Imagine you were a franchise, or even just forget being a franchise. Imagine you died tomorrow. If a new business owner, a new entrepreneur who's got depth of experience, as they would need to, could come into the company and look at all of the processes that you've outlined, could they run your company? Okay, yes or no? So think about that right now. If you died tomorrow, could someone else come in and run the business without you? If no, it's probably because you don't have enough systems. You don't have processes. You don't have SOPs, standard operating procedures. Ryan Dice talks about playbooks, which are really just the kind of the upper level of SOPs, because we have SOPs, we have documentation, we have processes, we have scripts. There's many different documents that come into play, okay? And each team member is responsible for following a specific process because it's like a recipe. I suppose like baking your mum's favourite bolognese, okay? Your mum knows the recipe inside of her head. If you want to replicate that bolognese, you need to know that recipe. You're not going to be able to wing it and try and get to the same result yourself. In the same sense, if you're a service delivery business, okay, you can't just wing the service delivery and get to the same result that you're trying to achieve from everyone else inside of the company by bringing someone new in. So new team members need to have a process outlined to them, which is fluid. I think There has to be fluid. It's something we spoke about at depth, like trying to systemize or outline a process for, let's say, creativity. And that's something that's, I mean, how have you managed to pave that in the business?
Yeah, I mean, it's been difficult. It's very, very difficult with creativity. You can systemize it as much as you can, but it's about having that healthy balance between the process of creating the ads is systemized, but in terms of the actual ad concepts and ideas, there has to be some element of organic and creativity, which is what I think makes a business special, is like having that balance between them both.
So it's knowing what can be like regimented and what has to be fluid.
Exactly.
And it's creating parameters for the fluidity.
Exactly.
So it's understanding if we stay within these confines, and you can do anything within here, but it has to be within these points.
Exactly.
You know, and so it's not just then about implementing systems and people following systems, but it's then about improving systems. So coming in, tying into ownership, tying into commitment, tying into alignment, is team members and head of departments being responsible for those systems. We in the company assign playbooks to individual head of departments and sometimes team members, so they know they are responsible for that system, which then makes them responsible for the improvement of that system over time in the overall machine of the business. Okay, so you as the founder, as much as you want to, it's been a hard thing for me to do, is take myself off this. As much as you want to retain control over these systems, you have to be able to relinquish control and allow the team to be responsible for improving the system, and then track the data on whether or not, okay, is this green, is this red? Okay, are we progressing, are we regressing? And then you're judging the success of the department based on the performance of that system. Now, a side note to this, I'm actually going to put a 5, which wasn't in the plan, okay, is AI, okay, on this, in relation to this, okay? This is kind of like, this is not really a 5, it's more of a sub-point to systems. If you're running any kind of service-based business or any business in general right now, and you are not using AI fundamentally in every single system that you run in the business, you are handicapped from an operational standpoint and from an efficiency standpoint. If you are not, and there is not a system inside your business that you cannot use AI for more efficiency to save more time, which ultimately is our biggest resource as a business, when we get people, all we are doing is buying more time. You know, as an original founder, it's just us growing a company. We have a revenue cap because we're capped by the time we can spend on making money. So when we hire people, we are just buying more time in the business. Okay, so what people don't realize about AI is it's your ability to quite literally stop hiring and buy time through artificial intelligence. Okay, and this technology is only going to improve over the years, and there's not a single process inside of the business that we have not implemented AI in some way, shape, or form. Yep. And you're laying those foundations now, so in the future, okay, when a supercomputer can be plugged into your company and it has all of these processes outlined because it is documented so well, it understands how everything works and can take a bird's eye view, and damn, you could probably have full AI agents running entire departments inside of the company. But you have to lay those foundational points right now. And if you're watching this, and you're an entry-level business owner, you're in the early stages, you're dangerous, like fucking dangerous. Like starting a business today and using AI from day one, that's dangerous. Because the amount of work that we've had to put in to look at everything inside of our companies, and not just the agency, but in the education business, in software businesses, the amount of work it takes to unravel all of the mess that you have created over 8 years and then implement AI, like that's a handicap compared to someone who's starting from scratch who can do this from day one.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%, yeah. It's a really, really good point. If you start a company focusing on this right now and figure out a way to systemize all of the aspects of this as much as you possibly can, you're going to be able to scale very, very quickly, and that's exciting. And we're trying our hardest to get this into every single system we can right now.
Yeah.
But yes,
okay,
very good.
That's the affluence triad. Any of these prick your interest, drop a comment down below, subscribe for more, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Cheers. We fucking nailed that, Brian. We fucking nailed that,
I think we did well.
Yeah, we fucking nailed that shit.